All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Shirley TV. So, are we live? Are we live? Ah, what? So, on a serious note, welcome to Shirley TV. Glad to see you. Glad you could be here. Glad you could join me. Yeah, so happy, what's today, Thursday? Sometimes I forget what day it is, but happy to see you all. Glad to see another day. First, I want to give honor to God and say, God, thank you. Thank you for waking me up another day. Thank you for my family, my kids, my grandkids. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my YouTube friends. Uh, yeah, my YouTube friends. So, hey. So, just want to get into just a few things, this morning. So, we all know that, Sean Diddy Combs was arrested Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. Now he's being held without bail, without bond. So I really don't understand why he couldn't make bond. I really don't understand why. I guess they did say that he was a threat to the community. He is a he's a flight. Sorry about that. He's a flight risk. He's a danger to the community. And they did say that he turned over his passport. His passport. His family turned over their passports. So we'll see what happens. But I just want to read a little bit about, uh, you know, I guess what led up to, uh, what led up to his arrest. One thing I want to talk about too as well was the warrant. So the search warrant. So in other words, when they went in to his homes, I guess make it plural. So when they went into his homes, they had to have a search warrant. So they had to have a search warrant. So what's usually included in the search warrant is the area to be searched. So in other words, if they had a warrant to go in to search for his home, to search his home, they had a warrant to go in and search his homes. He had, I think it was two homes they searched. So they had to have, it had to be specified in that search warrant. Um, because the things that they found, those things had to be connected to a crime. In other words, you can't just, and then also you can't just go in somebody's home if you have a search warrant and then you looking all over the house. No, the areas to be searched are specified in the search warrant. So requirements for obtaining a warrant, according to the Fourth Amendment, the requirements must be met before a warrant can be issued. It's the responsibility of the law enforcement officer requesting the warrant to establish these elements to the judge making the warrant determination. So in other words, the law enforcement officer, he has to specify, um, why he wants this search warrant to the judge. So you have to make a believer out of the judge, you know. So thank God for these type of protocols, rules, because we don't want you know officers just showing up at any and everybody's homes and just you know looking for trying to search for this and that and looking all over your house. So this is very important to uh, us as citizens. It says, first, the evidence presented must establish probable cause to believe that within the area to be searched, the item sought will be found. Second, there must be probable cause to believe that the items sought are connected to criminal activity. So they're saying, we saw in the news that they found This showed the items that were found in Sean Diddy Cole's home. All those bottles of what's it, baby oil, all those bottles of baby oil, different weapons, and I don't remember what else they found, but then they have to, establish that those items were, connected to a crime, criminal activity. Third, the area to be searched and any item to be seized must be described within particularity. The amount of specificity, specificity, that's a hard word, required varies from case to case. A warrant that authorizes a police officer to search a particular home for unauthorized contraband clearly violates the Fourth Amendment. So it says a warrant that authorizes a police officer to search a particular home for unauthorized contraband clearly violates the Fourth Amendment. So in other words, unauthorized, I guess they're saying that wasn't in the search warrant. So that wasn't in the search warrant. It says also whereas a warrant authorizing the search of the same home for another type of weapon if it's provided in the search warrant, then it's valid. So provided in the warrant is valid in all other aspects. That gives probable cause. Warrants for the seizure of items that are illegal in themselves do not have to be as particular as others. For example, a warrant to search for a book must be more specific than one for drugs. And then they have a doctrine called the plain view doctrine. So even if they went in, even if they had this search warrant and they went in, and certain things were specified within the warrant that the areas as far as the areas to look. If they went in, and in other words, they had a warrant to go in and search both of his homes, and they had in the warrant it specified the certain areas to search. So they searched those certain areas, but when they went in, they saw other illegal, incriminating items sitting on the table or on the floor, in plain view. So they do have this plain view doctrine. Say another exception to the warrant requirement is the plain view doctrine. So we have the plain view doctrine, and another one I learned about in school, the plain field doctrine. So let me see if they have that too. So in other words, they feeling around in your pockets, and it's plain. They don't see what's in your pockets, but they're feeling around in your pockets, and it feels like, oh, okay, there might be a weapon, and that can be incriminating as well. It says another exception, right there, plain view. Under this rule, a warrantless seizure. So if they seize anything, they come in your house, they have a warrant, they're looking around. They're looking around. They want to, but they don't look around, but they're they're looking around in the areas that's specified in the warrant, and then they just happen to see something laying on the table, laying on the floor. So that would be that would be considered under the plain view doctrine. That could be incriminating evidence that can be used against you in a court of law. So a large body of cases discusses the plain view doctrine. From those cases, it can be gleaned that for a seizure to be lawful under the doctrine, the following must be shown. The officer must lawfully be in an area from which the object to be seized is in plain view, and the officer does in fact see the item. There is probable cause to believe that the object is connected to a crime. It says, and the officer has a right to access the object itself. So they do have some what you call rules, I guess rules that go along with certain doctrines. So evidence located on private property is different. As a general rule, the public have no right to enter private property to seize evidence which was in plain view from a public area. So, you know, you have to read all the way into these laws. It says if an officer is on private property for a lawful reason, then the officer may seize evidence in plain view without first obtaining a warrant. Right, so he wouldn't need a warrant if he's on if the officer is on private property for lawful reasons, and he sees some items in plain view, so he doesn't have to obtain a warrant. So they're just showing that there are some instances where they, you know, the officer doesn't need a warrant. So it's just a lot of different terms that, okay, here go the plain field doctrine right here. You have learned, you have learned both the plain view doctrine and the Terry exception to the warrant and probable cause requirements of the Fourth Amendment. The plain field doctrine is a product of their joining. So you have, I'll probably talk about that the next time. We have the Terry stop, and some other, you know, other terms that I may talk about in probably one of my next videos. It says the plain field doctrine is a product of their joining. That is, what happens when an officer who is conducting a Terry pat down, so in other words, an officer happens to stop you on a road, you're driving, and then you know, he imposes a Terry pat down on you. So he discovers he conducted a Terry pat down through the sense of touch, not a weapon, but contraband. May this information be used to establish probable cause, allowing a more intrusive search? This question was answered in a particular case. So in other words, the officer stopped you and doing a pat down because he felt, you know, that there was probable cause to basically stop you and do a pat down. And then he did, and upon his pat down, he discovers contraband through the sense of touch. So in other words, he touching around, feeling all in your pocket, and he had a sense of contraband, but he didn't. So I don't think he saw it. It says first stops must be supported by reasonable suspicion. In other words, first of all, he must have reasonable suspicion to stop you. So there's just so many, you know, different doctrines that you can read about, and you know, and then they also have these exceptions. See, the officer possesses a reasonable suspicion. So in other words, first of all, he had to have a reasonable suspicion, which gives him probable cause. It's just like you driving, you know, riding in your car, and you know you've been smoking, you know, those little funny cigarettes, and you just have to be stopped. You happen to be stopped by an officer, and he said, "Well, look, roll your window down because you had been, you've been speeding, and I want to give you a ticket." But when you put your window down, he smelled marijuana in your vehicle. Does that give him probable cause to say, "Hey, step out of the car, I need to search your vehicle"? So, third, it says the pat down must be, so in other words, the officer must have reasonable suspicion to even, you know, stop you, the Terry stop, and give you a pat down. And it says, officer possess, in other words, he had to possess a reasonable suspicion. He had to have that probable cause to stop you. So, reasonable suspicion based on specific and articulable facts that the suspect may be armed and dangerous. Third, the pat down must be limited. Exploration of the clothing beyond what is necessary to determine dangerous is not permitted, unless probable cause to believe that there is contraband that's created through the officer's sense of touch, right? Through the officer's sense of touch. So he's not able to see what's in your pockets, but during the pat down, he's feeling around during this Terry stop. And so, I mean, you can look up this term further. You have the Terry stop and the plain field doctrine, the plain view doctrine, and also your warrant, warrant requirements, and read up on the Miranda warnings. So it's just a lot when it comes to these law terms. So I find it very interesting. I like to look up terms and, just be more knowledgeable about, the meaning of these terms, because you never know when you're going to have to pull them out the bag and, help yourself get out of trouble. But, you're not a lawyer, but, they said ignorance, what they say, ignorance of the law is inexcusable. So it's good to know the basics. Good to know the basics. So I have a lot of other terms too, but I'm not gonna go over all these. So, fruit of the poisonous tree. So that's when evidence is obtained illegally. Uh, Evidence obtained illegally by government, state official, police officer, or something. Evidence is obtained illegally would be inadmissible in court. Inadmissible in the court of law. And then we have statutes, which are laws, and some other terms that I may go over next time: recklessness, negligence, the Miranda rights. So officers, will read you your Miranda rights only if you're going to be interrogated or questioned. So I know I thought that they, were supposed to read your Miranda rights, soon as you are arrested. But so I just had to do more research. So sometimes you have to do your research and look up your terms and get a better understanding, because when it comes to some of these law terms, you can learn the definition, but then they have exceptions. Or, just with more study and be more familiar with these terms. We have the Miranda rights. The Miranda, so I learned in one of actually my business law course down Strayer University. Uh, Ernesto Miranda, that was the gentleman's name. So they had a case against him. I think it was 1960 or 63, where he was not read his Miranda rights. So that's what he was convicted. I think he was convicted of some serious charges, but they didn't read him his Miranda rights. So that's where that name came from. And then we have the McNaughton rule. So that is one of the defenses. In other words, if you commit a crime, the McNaughton rule, that would be a defense. I think it's a defense like insanity or something. In other words, you commit a crime, you can plead. The lawyers will plead for you, insanity, but they have different things, different requirements for that as well. Then we have tort law. Well, you have tort law, you have criminal law. So we were talking about when it comes to this Sean Diddy Combs case, that's criminal law. So that's the standard. The highest standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. So the burden of proof is in the government. The government has to prove that you're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They can't have no doubt about it. So that's criminal law. But then we also have civil law. Civil law deals with money damages. So lawsuits, money damages. And then we have, like I said, the tort law. We have another term, actual malice. Uh, so invasion of privacy, contributory negligence, comparative negligence, strict liability, punitive damages. Punitive damages are mostly given to punish the defendant. So I have, just a whole lot of terms, but I want to some other stuff. It's so much. It's so much, and I also know another term: stand decisis, let the decision stand. So what I learned in Australia University in my business law course, common law, or when the judges went down in the towns, and when they solved those cases, they became precedent cases, cases that they use when they're deciding other cases. So it says, yes, stand decisive, let the decision stand. So when judges went into town and they solved those cases, and the decisions that they made on those particular cases, the decisions that they made, they let the decision stand. And those decisions, became, they were, put in a book, put in the legal books, I guess, somewhere. And then those decisions are still being used today. Precedent, prior decisions of the same court, which a judge must follow in deciding a subsequent case. So similar cases. In other words, those judges made decisions on those particular cases, and then those decisions, they let those decisions stand. And then when they ran across other cases that were similar, but it might not have been the same defendants, but similar cases, then they looked at the same rule of law. They looked at those former cases. Those are those precedent cases. And then we have the common law legal system that originated in England. We have case law statutes that grow and change. So I just want to read a little bit about this Sean Diddy Combs. He was arrested, charged with trafficking, and ordered held without bail. It says Sean Diddy Combs was ordered held without bail Tuesday after he was charged with trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in institution. Combs pleaded not guilty to the charges in federal court in New York City. So in the United States of America, you're innocent until proven guilty. So you're innocent until proven guilty. U.S. magistrate ordered Combs held after hearing from prosecutors and Combs' legal team late Tuesday afternoon. An attorney for Combs appealed the decision Wednesday and lost. Prosecutors sought detention for Combs, arguing that he poses an ongoing and significant danger to the community, has repeatedly engaged in obstructive conduct, and presents a serious risk of flight, while his lawyers asked that he be released on bond. So if they're saying that he, is a danger to the community, he's a flight risk, and he has repeatedly engaged in obstruction of justice, I guess, obstructive conduct, and presents a serious risk of flight. His lawyer. So I don't know if he had more than one lawyer, because I know they had one lawyer that spoke at the news conference. So I would think in this type of case, he would need at least 3 lawyers. A whole law team, because there is a lot of not a whole lot of charges, but I think it's 3 charges. Following Tuesday's hearing, this person told reporters outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan that Combs didn't do what prosecutors alleged, and he was going to fight the charges to the end. Right? These charges are all allegedly, and they have to be proven in a court of law. So we all are entitled to our due process in a court of law. Let me drink some water. So we all are entitled to our due process. So that our due process is our day in court. Our day in court. It says he's been looking forward to this day. He's been looking forward to clearing his name, and he's going to clear his name. Yes. So I mean, you fight you fight for your life. I said, I don't have no problem with that, because if it was any of us, we would do the same. So fight for your life, fight for your freedom, because this is a case of freedom. Freedom, yeah, freedom. Fighting for your freedom. It says in the indictment, prosecutors allege that since 2008, Combs has been part of a criminal organization that engaged in or attempted to engage in trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, and other offenses. So I want to look into all those terms. I want to look back into them, you know. So, in other words, trafficking, forced labor, kidnappings, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, and other offenses. So, like I said, everything has to be proven. Everything has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So it can't be no doubt. So you have to have, it's the highest standard of proof. Because like I said, civil is the preponderance of the evidence lies within the plaintiff. That's the civil, and civil mostly, you are the plaintiff is suing for money damages when it comes to civil. When it comes to criminal, you're looking for lockups. You're looking for what different remedies. I mean, maybe restitution, lockups. You're looking to restore justice. Another term I learned too, restorative justice. Uh, And it says U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of New York said during a news conference there were multiple victims in the case, but he didn't provide a specific number, and he urged others to come forward to authorities. So he's urging, other victims to come forward in this case. Uh, yeah, so he said Combs is accused of assaulting women on numerous occasions starting in 2009 and continuing for years, according to the indictment. The indictment alleges all of these charges are alleged charges. So charges can be brought on me, you, anybody, any one of us, not just Sean Puffy Combs, and he has the right to fight for his freedom. Yeah, so because you think about it, when you have family members, yourself and your family members, you're thinking about your family, So I don't like to be the type of person that bashes people and says harsh things, because I know karma when it comes back around. And another thing, my morals and my ethics and it doesn't allow me, and I don't want to. It doesn't allow me to be critical of people, pulling people down just to pull myself up. No, I can pull myself up by my own bootstraps. So I don't make it a habit. I don't at all tearing someone else down. But I'm just saying the charges are in the public, and the charges are in the public. The case is in the public, I would say, public's eye. So we all have a chance to read it and examine it. So that's how they go. It says the indictment alleges, so all these charges, like I say, are alleged. They have not been proven. They have not been proven. He has not been proven to be guilty in a court of law. That's why I'm not understanding why he could not make bail or bond, because he has not been proven guilty yet. He has not been proven guilty in any court of law. And so sometimes I still need to read more into that. I know they said he's a flight risk, a danger to the community, but have you proven that he is a flight risk? Have you proven that he's a danger to the community? Have you really proven that he is a danger to the community? They're saying that he's a flight risk. And these, like I said, these charges are all alleged. Uh, So these charges are all alleged charges. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity. So, I don't know if these things will be hard to prove, but I mean, like I said, they have to be proven in a court of law to get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. The prosecution works for the government, so it's the burden of proof. It's on the government. The government and the prosecution they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest standard of proof. And in civil law, that's the lower standard. In civil law, that is a lower standard. The preponderance of the evidence lies within the plaintiff. So, in other words, the civil law, the plaintiff, the person that's complaining against you, the person that put in a complaint, they put a complaint in, they are called the plaintiff, and you are the defendant. So, they are the plaintiff. They put a complaint in on you, and that is in the civil proceeding, and sometimes they go to trial as well. You may still have to go to court and go to trial in civil proceedings as well. But if a person settles out of court and they like Puffy and Puff Daddy and what's her name, Cassie, they settle in the civil case. They settled out and settled that. They settled it, but he could have took it on the trial as well. Just like you do a criminal. So he could have took it to trial, but he just, they settled out of court, and that was that. So it says, as alleged in the indictment, to carry out his this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity. So, like I said, all these things have to be proven. So I would assume that, well, actually, I know. I would. I guess I say I would. I guess I would say I assume that his lawyers would, talk to all the people that is around him, all the people that's around him, that's been around him, because they're trying to say that he's been running this criminal organization. I mean, you have to prove all that. All those things have to be proven. You have to prove that because I know he does have his businesses that he runs. So, CBS News legal contributor said Combs could face, if convicted of the charges. He also said there's a possibility the case might not go to trial. So he said there's a possibility the case might not go to trial. So, like I said, all these alleged criminal acts, he's running a criminal organization. He has all these jars of tubes, I guess, baby oil, and they have to prove that all those tubes of baby oil were going to be committed in the crime. So how are you going to prove that? Because I'm like this. I had those baby oils to run my business. I'm just creating an online business. So I mean, I'm just I'm just saying, So they have to link all those 1,000 bottles of baby oils to a crime. So I mean, and then they have to do that beyond a reasonable doubt. So it can't be no doubt about it, and it can't be no doubt about it. So I must think I'm a lawyer. Oh, most cases do not go to trial, she said. Most cases do result in a plea deal. It says that we can expect that in the coming days and weeks and likely months, Sean Combs' attorney and the federal prosecutors will potentially try and find some meeting of minds about a plea deal. But I think it's hard to escape the idea that the plea deal will have to include some prison time. Right. I wouldn't accept no plea deal if they talking about large amount of prison time. No, no. I'd rather go to court, fight my way, get my due process. Combs ensured participation from the woman by, among other things, obtaining and distributing to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same and using intimidation and violence, the indictment alleges. So, I mean, how are you going to prove that if unless there are videotapes of him saying, unless he had videotapes of himself recording? Because I'm like, is your word against my word at some point, unless there are recordings of me saying that I'm acting, I'm incriminating myself through these recordings. So Williams said the investigation into Combs was ongoing and that additional charges weren't off the table. He also said others could face charges in the case. And then I know we saw the video, the hotel of him. I think he was pulling Cassie by the arm. So I was just wondering why assault. I didn't see assault and battery on the indictment list, but hopefully that will not. Well, that may be another charge that may come up, assault and battery, because assault means when you put a person in fear and apprehension. That's assault. But the battery is when you actually strike the person. That's the battery. So assault and battery, that was not in the indictment. I don't think, because I didn't read it, but they said it was three. I mean, I read three, I think that were, I don't know, I wrote it down. I just read it. I think I just read it. Oh, here it is right here. Read the indictment. Read the indictment. It's right here. But I think it was three that they put up. They didn't put assault and battery. It said the indictment refers to an incident called, right, so I was talking about hotel security cameras in 2016. So just imagine they had a recording. Why would you save a recording all those years, I'm like, if I did something like that, I would have trashed that recording. Who saved the recording for 2016? Why would you save the recording? Wow. Oh boy, it's a lot of questions here, a lot of questions, a lot of questions that need to be answered. I mean, in my opinion, you're dragging somebody and then you recorded it and then all of a sudden it miraculously appears. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, let me drink some water. Oh, I got me some grapes over here this morning. Oh, cause excuse me. The indictment refers to an incident caught on hotel security. It was caught on hotel security, but somebody had to obtain it and keep it and hold it for what? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1 to 8 years. You held a criminal tape for 8 years, video for 8 years. And it says CNN aired the footage earlier this year, which appears to show Combs attacking a singer Cassie, whose legal name is Cassandra Ventura, in a Los Angeles hotel hallway. All of a sudden, this videotape miraculously appears, and everything just seemed like it was just planned to fall in place. In May, Combs apologized for the incident, saying his behavior was inexcusable and that he took full responsibility for the actions. Mm-hmm. According to the indictment, Combs attempted to bribe a hotel security staff member, allegedly, because I don't know, I wasn't there, allegedly, who intervened in the incident to keep them quiet. It says United States District Southern Court of District of the District of New York. Okay, it was a sealed indictment at first, but I think it is online, but I haven't read it. I thought the lead attorney would be, you know, uh, breaking it down for us because he always gives a good clarification, a good, I don't know, I guess give us a good understanding of, the case in different legal terms. And I do like the way he breaks a lot of his videos down, his different, but so I thought that he would, maybe he will come out and then because I'll be in, I'll be in it. I'll be all into the video, taking notes, So Combs allegedly referred to the incidents as offs, but I don't think it's a crime to have. You have willing participants. So the parties that he had, I just call them offs, but the parties that he had, so those parties, we don't know what went down at those parties. We weren't there, but he said, she said, that's what that is. But if they had videos, they say it showed that they took, I think they take some videos out the home when they raided one of his homes. I think they took some weapons, some videos. I don't know what else they took, but it's all in the news. But prosecutors said Combs directed these. They said he directed the parties, the offs, often recorded them. See, why would you record? He recorded them and distributed controlled substances to the victims, which helped make them obedient and compliant. Nah, you never record your criminal act. Why would you record your criminal act? And you're creating evidence against yourself. He used embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the offs as collateral against the victims and the indictments. So all these alleged assumptions. So, prosecution, they will definitely have to have their assumptions. They're going to have their assumptions, and the defense will have their assumptions. So the prosecution, their assumptions are, he used these he used these parties at a time when he had his guests. He persuaded them. He persuaded them to, giving them drugs and persuaded them. In other words, you're going to lose your housing and your financial support if you don't listen to me and do what I say. By promising them career opportunities, by monitoring. So these are all allegedly. He allegedly promised them career opportunities by monitoring their whereabouts and even by dictating their physical appearance, Williams said. So all these charges are alleged. You would say allegedly because, like I said, we weren't there. And videotapes can be doctored, altered, all kind of stuff can go on. But we just have to see. Not saying that, so I'm just speculating. The victims didn't believe, allegedly, the victims didn't believe that they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. So, 9 times out of 10, when the trial starts, if it goes to trial, all the alleged victims will get up on the stand and tell their story, be cross-examined by the defense and the defense attorney and the prosecution's attorney. It says prosecutors also accuse Combs of carrying or brandishing weapons to intimidate and threaten victims. So this is all alleged. The prosecutors allege that this is what they're saying, allegedly, that he brandished weapons, he intimidated and threatened his witnesses. That's what they're saying. one of the things that's part of one of the reasons why he's not getting his bond or his bail because he's obstructing justice. You know, he has obstructed justice. Allegedly, he's obstructed justice in the past. So that's one of the reasons why, you know, and he's a flight risk. They're saying allegedly he's a flight risk, and he can't, in other words, he might run or he might try to intimidate the witnesses again. So that's all alleged. You don't know what he's going to do. So all those are alleged assumptions. Or he might do this, or he might, yeah, because it's just an assumption. You assume that, oh, he's going to, you assume that he's going to, so these are all alleged. You don't know what he's going to do. That is, you're assuming that he's going to do that because you want to justify doing this. So you want to assume that he's going to do that. So all those things, you don't know what he's going to do. Hopefully he wouldn't do, what you alleging that he will do, So, and also it says, Williams said Homeland Security investigations agents who raided Combs' home in Los Angeles and Miami, right, found, but they said they found firearms and ammunition, but were those firearms and ammunition, were they registered? They didn't say nothing about that. If he had them legally registered, then that's not a crime. So the only thing they said is they found the firearms and ammunition. Right? We have our Second Amendment right. We have a right to bear arms, as long as they're legal weapons and ammunition. So they didn't say whether or not he had them registered, so we don't know that yet. So a lot of other things will come out, including three defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. So we don't know. So these are all. I mean, they'll say what they found, but were any of these weapons registered, legally registered? We don't know. So they didn't mention it. They failed to mention that. Well, I know when they went in ASAP Rocky's house and found those weapons, and they had everybody, the whole world wondering, oh, they found all these weapons in ASAP Rocky's house. But then come to find out later it came out, he had all his weapons registered. Yeah, so they thought that, they didn't think, but that came out in the news that, they went in ASAP Rocky's house because he was allegedly he was involved in, I think somebody had a case against him. Somebody had a case against him. I forgot who that was, but they had a case against him, and then they issued a search warrant. So in other words, they issued a search warrant. The judge issued a search warrant, so they had to have probable cause to go in, and they had probable cause to think that, for sure, I guess, that they would find what they were looking for. So they had to have and the search warrant had to specify the areas to be searched. You can't just go in somebody's house. You have a search warrant. No, and that search warrant, it specifies the areas to be searched, the address, the house. You got the house, you got the address, the person's name, area in the home. The area in the home to be searched. You can't just go in if you have a search warrant. So they had to issue, they had to issue I guess the officers had to, go to the judge. They had to issue to the judge, I guess, how they, why they felt that, if they went in to a particular person's home, say ASAP Rocky, that they were going to find what they were looking for. So when they went in, so they had a warrant. They had a search warrant. They went in. They said they found those weapons. So I don't know the other ins and outs of the case, but we haven't heard any more about it. But they did come out and say that, hey, come to find out, all his weapons were registered. So, and that was ASAP Rocky, his case. But let's go on. Today we shatter any false notion of impunity as we uncover the defendant's alleged pattern of manipulation, exploitation, and outright abuse. Walker said in a statement Tuesday, make no mistake, we are here today only because of the unwavering strength of victims and witnesses who have already endured unspeakable hardships. So everybody is entitled to their due process in a court of law. Okay, and it says this person issued a statement Monday night following reports of Combs' arrest. We are disappointed with the decision. So this must be Combs' attorney, Sean, what's his name? Sean Diddy Combs. Agnifilo issued a statement Monday night following reports of Combs' arrest. We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Agnifilo said. So, right, we are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution. Right. Like I said, the defense has their assumptions. So the defense is their assumption is this is an unjust prosecution, but the prosecutors on the other side, they are saying that it's not unjust. He described Combs as a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist, and said he is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal. And we all are imperfect. We all are imperfect. And said, but he's not a criminal. Agnifilo said Combs has been nothing but cooperative with this investigation, and he voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. Please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are the facts of an innocent man with nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. The unsealed indictment lists the case as United States versus Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love and Defendant. Combs has faced a number of lawsuits in recent months involving allegations of misconduct, abuse, and violence. Combs and his representatives have denied all the accusations. In November 2023, Ventura filed a lawsuit accusing Combs of an abuse during their relationship. He denied the accusations. They reached a settlement the following day. Yeah, so he denied the accusations, but like I said, this was a nice little article. CBS News. Give credit to CBS News. This was a nice argument. I mean, a nice article. A nice argument. A nice article. But I don't want to hold this video too long. Well, it's been almost an hour. But let me see. What other terms I want to talk about? I talked about criminal law. So, criminal law, beyond a reasonable doubt. So, in other words, the government has to prove he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So, in other words, the jury, you can't have no doubt. So, you have to feel that you have to know that he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So, in other words, no doubt at all. And then the civil law, that's when you are seeking money damages, that's civil law. So that's the preponderance. So the standard in civil cases is right. The preponderance of the evidence lies within the plaintiff. So the plaintiff is the person that makes the complaint against the defendant. So civil law, you're just seeking money damages. So a lot of people were saying, "Oh yeah, well, Cassie just wanted money." Yeah, because that's what a civil that's what civil cases are about. Money damages. So I guess, around the world, we all thought that that would be the end of that, but we kept hearing things in the news that was not the end. Because I think Cassie made a statement saying that it's not over. When she gave a statement. So it's a lot of interesting terms when it comes to law. The field of law. You know, because I know my teacher down Strayer University. He came back. He came back to class one day. We went to class one day, and my teacher came back the next day, and he called my name as well as two other students and said, I have three students that should go to law school because I did so good in my business law course, and I took another online course, constitutional law. But I find a lot of these terms interesting, and sometimes you may, you just look up some terms, some law terms, look up the basics. We talked about, just to learn because ignorance of the law is inexcusable. You want to know the basics. You want to know the arrest process, the indictment, the arraignment, pretrial proceedings, then the trial. Then you have the appeal, and, that will go through the appellate courts. And then you think about, jurisdiction. Does this court have jurisdiction to try this particular case? I mean, and then we learned about jurisprudence, philosophy of law. It's just so many other terms. I just need to refresh my memory too on a lot of some of these terms. I'm just thinking about them off the top of my head. And yeah, I learned about the term right. I talked about that previously. Stare decisis, let the decision stand. Precedent, those precedent cases, those cases that judges made decisions on, and when it came to common law, when the judges went down in the towns, they made those decisions and let the decisions stand. So those decisions stood, and then they became those precedent cases, those cases that judges use, they will use, for present cases, those former cases. They would look at those former cases when they're deciding present cases. So let the decision stand. Stare decisis and those precedent cases. And also, we talked about contracts. You know, so elements of a contract, you have offer, acceptance, legality, consideration, capacity, mutual assent, and another term we talked about undue influence and duress. So in other words, duress, somebody try to force you to sign a contract or somebody force you to do something that you may be put under duress. So that's also illegal. And then statutes, where I learned about the statute of frauds, where certain contracts have to be in writing to be legally, to be enforced. I guess I would say to be legally enforced. I guess. Yeah, statute of frauds. So in other words, certain contracts have to be in writing. Definitely. Contracts for selling goods of 500 or more must be in writing to be enforceable. So in other words, statute of frauds. If you rent an apartment, you buy a home, you notice that you definitely have to sign a contract. You buy a house, you buy a car, you rent an apartment. Those are all contracts that definitely have to be in writing. There's certain other contracts, statute of frauds, and then we have statute of limitations. So that was a term that I learned about as well, the statute of limitations. So that's a timeline on certain cases. In other words, if you have certain cases don't have no statute of limitations, like ape and erda. You know what I'm talking about. So they don't have no statute of limitations, but other cases may have a statute of limitations. So that is the timeline. It's still a timeline, so, but that's why they was telling the people, they had a certain time on some of those cases when it came to what was that I forgot what they called it, but it was, they had a certain timeline. I think they said you have another year, so that came under the statute of limitations. So they gave a timeline. You have to file your case before next year, before 2026 or 2025. So I think that is all that I want to talk about today. And then I want to let me see. Let me talk a little bit about tort law. Let's see. Just want to talk a little bit about tort law. So tort law, what it is and how it works. So I believe that would come under civil law. We also have civil law, tort law, civil cases, criminal cases. It's just a lot of interesting terms and definitions and doctrines to learn when it comes to law. Tort law is the area of law that covers most civil suits, with the exception of contractual disputes. Tort law is the area of law that covers most civil suits. In general, any claim that arises in civil court, with the exception of contractual disputes, falls under tort law. The concept of tort law is to redress a wrong done to a person and provide relief from the wrongful acts of others, usually by awarding monetary damages, right? Right. So that's what I'm saying. Civil law, you're dealing with money damages, so that's under tort law. It says the concept of tort law is to redress a wrong done to a person. So if you do something wrong to a person, say for instance, you committed assault and battery. That would be a wrong to a person. So that comes under tort law, civil law. So right under assault and battery, you can also sue for money damages, because the idea is to put the victim back in the state that they were in before you hit them. In other words, you assaulted them, you put them in fear and apprehension. That was the assault. But battery, you actually hit the person. So assault and battery. But I think some states they have it separate and some states have it together. So that comes under tort law. Civil law, tort law, money damages, criminal law, you're trying to get lockups. So in other words, you could, somebody hit you in the face, you can sue them. Nah, you assaulted me. I want to take you to court. I want to sue you for money damages that can come under assault and battery. So that's other cases. Probably I have to do some more research that you can sue for money damages under civil law. Tort law requires those who are found to be at fault for harming others to compensate the victim. They want you to compensate the victim. They want to restore justice. Another term I learned, restorative justice, restoring justice. So somebody hit you in the face or blacked your eye or whatever happened, and you want to bring a civil suit. You want to bring a civil suit. I said they just sent me a message saying thanks for registering for the LSAT test. Thank you. It says, the concept of tort law is to redress a wrong done to a person and provide relief from the wrongful acts of others, usually by awarding monetary damages as compensation, right? The original intent of tort is to provide full compensation for proved harms. So if you can prove that you were harmed and you want to sue for money damages, it says tort law requires who are tort requires those who are found to be at fault for harming others to compensate the victims. Typical harms include the loss of past or future income, payment of medical expenses, right? So if somebody hits you in the face, black your eye, or and then you got, I mean, they do all that. You got to go to the hospital. Somebody got to pay the hospital bill. So payment of medical expenses and payment for your pain and suffering. Payment for your pain and suffering. There may also be additional punitive damages to punish the defendant. Punish the defendant. There may be additional punitive damages that are meant to punish the defendant in excess of full compensation. Key takeaways. Let me drink some water. Tort law is a branch of law that deals with civil suits, with the exception of disputes involving contracts. So contracts, I may get into that maybe in another video. So you have a contract. Contracts. That's a very interesting field of law. Contract law, criminal law, civil law, tort law. We have family law, real estate law. It's just so many different areas. It's just so much to learn. So they say learning is a never-ending process. Punitive damages are meant to punish the defendant in excess of full compensation. Yep. Tort law is considered to be a form of restorative justice. That's what I say. Restorative justice is since it seeks to remedy losses or injury by providing monetary compensation. There are three main categories of tort law, including suits alleging negligence, intentional harm, and strict liability. Yeah, we talked about negligence, strict liability in our course. So you can be strictly liable. Let's say, for instance, you order a product and it blows up in your face when you open the box. You can sue the manufacturer, and you may be able to sue the retailer that sold you, that you purchased the item from. But so those things have to be looked at. Negligence. You did something and you were negligent. You were negligent, and someone still got hurt because you were negligent. So those, different laws that come under that as well. Different, I guess I would say, remedies. Understanding tort law. Tort law can be split into three categories. Like I said, negligent torts, intentional torts, and strict liability torts. So I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to close this video because I didn't want to make it too long. And we have examples of tort law. Sometimes just, take some time to do some research. It's just so many terms. Look up, make yourself more familiar with criminal law, civil law, tort law. Those are the main, we have other areas of law, but criminal law is something we all need to know. We definitely need to know a lot of the basics. So we have a liability case, a negligent case, an intentional tort case. So it's just information on these. Tort reform. So I'm not going to make this video too much longer, but thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. So the next video, I may talk about, I might get more into civil law and tort law. Maybe I'll do a video on that maybe later. Civil law and tort law. And I want to do something on contract law. So we talked about some cases in the book when we were talking about a contract. When we were talking about contracts, all the elements of a contract. So all the elements of a contract, in other words, offer, acceptance, legality, consideration, capacity, mutual assent. In other words, somebody say, "Hey, I want to sell you my car. I want to sell you my car for 500." But it definitely have to be, it has to be believable. You can't say it in a joking manner. You have to be, serious. So then you also have to think about a verbal contract, a written contract. So it's just so much, but I'm not going to get into these contract elements right now. But you have to have all elements, all 6 elements of a contract to make it fully enforceable. Somebody offer you something, or whatever it is, you accepted it, and then it has to be legally binding. It can't be a contract to sell drugs or nothing like that. It has to be a legal contract, legally binding contract. And then you have to have consideration that's something of value. In other words, wash my car, I give you uh, $80, so the $80 would be the consideration. They offered it to you, you accepted it. There's two consideration, something of value, the $800. Capacity, it can't be with a minor, and all those. And then there's a lot of laws for minors too, because minors can rescind contracts because they are underage. And then we have mutual assent. Mutual assent, that means meeting of the minds. Both of you agreed. Both of you agreed to the contract. So we had that. There you have it. But it's more into it than that. But these terms. I like all these terms, but there's just so much. It's just a lot. Then I talked about previously on one of our videos, copyrights, patents, trademarks, we talk about all that. So, I mean, in my opinion, the law is, learning the law is just everything that you can think of is predicated on law. You have to, in other words, you have to abide by certain laws when you're doing everything, really. So just about everything. So that would be the basis of everything. So I would suggest to study. I mean, just study the basics. That's what I do. I just jump on my laptop. Then I review. Sometimes I review my some of my books from the time when I was in college, Strayer University, right here in the United States of America. But I want to say goodbye for now, you all. So hopefully you will have a nice Thursday. Have a nice Thursday. But we all, we'll be watching the news and we're going to see how things turn out. But I hope that they do let him out I do hope that they give him bond. That way he can get with his lawyer. He can better build his case. That's what the lawyer was saying. His lawyer said yesterday that he would prefer him to be out where he can, they can prepare, they can build the case. They can build the case together. They can prepare the case, build the case, whatever, But they have to do. They have to do if he's in, still locked up. They will, have to do what they have to do. But it would be better if he was out, But just want to wish them the best, and all people that's involved in the situation, wishing all of them the best. So I don't, like I said, my channel is not a channel of bashing people. I don't want to bash. I want to learn. I want to learn, and I want to help others learn as well. So I want to say goodbye for now. Every time I do a lot of talking, my throat, I guess that, so I do have my water, but, and had me a few little grapes over here. So I ordered some grapes yesterday too. So the phone. But so I'll see you all in the next video. So I ordered me some grapes yesterday, 2 bushels. So sometimes when you're hungry, well, I said sometimes when I'm hungry, I just grab some grapes, grab some grapes. And hey, I'm on the replay and I'll share this video. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. I want to give a shout out to Miss Melanie Jones said so. Thanks for being here. Yes, thank you. And but I'll see you all in my next video. So I want to probably talk about contracts, contract law, contracts. And I hope you have a nice Thursday. Have a blessed Thursday. And don't eat too much today. Grab you some grapes, grab you some cold water, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.